If you ask a girl out and she keeps saying she's busy or always has an excuse, understand this. If she's not making herself available to see you, she is not interested. She's probably bored or just likes the attention. So do yourself a favor, stop texting her, and find yourself a girl who wants to meet up in real life.
Hold up, because what I'm about to show you is going to completely flip everything you thought you knew about modern dating on its head. A feminist dating coach just threw in the towel and admitted something that's sending shockwaves through the entire dating world. You know what's wild? For years, we've been told that men are the problem in relationships, that we're emotionally unavailable, that we don't understand women, that we need to step up our game. But now, even someone who made their entire career coaching women is saying something completely different. This dating coach just publicly admitted that trying to help modern women with relationships might be one of the most impossible jobs on the planet. And honestly, after seeing what she had to say, I'm starting to understand why so many guys are just walking away from dating entirely. She starts by calling out something that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. She says princess treatment isn't romantic at all. It's actually just a socially acceptable way for someone to avoid being an adult in their relationship. Think about that for a second. We've raised entire generations on this Disney fantasy that love means someone's going to come save you. But here's the thing that really caught my attention. She's saying this keeps women stuck in what psychologists call arrested development, where they continue acting like children with their partners. And when you really think about it, that makes perfect sense.
A woman who doesn't listen does not belong in your life. I shall explain. A woman who doesn't take corrections from you, a woman who doesn't take instructions from you, a woman who doesn't take direction from you is dangerous.
How many times have you seen a grown woman throw a tantrum because her boyfriend didn't read her mind and anticipate exactly what she wanted? But wait, have you hit the subscription button? Please do it now. Like and comment before continue. The coach goes on to explain that in healthy relationships, nobody should be expected to anticipate every single need without communication. But modern dating has created this expectation that men should just magically know everything their partner wants, when they want it, and how they want it delivered. What's really striking is how she connects this to the broader problems we're seeing in society. She talks about how women often fall for guys who see them as temporary, but then when they find men who actually want to invest in them long term, they don't appreciate it because they're still hung up on the guy who treated them badly. This creates this insane cycle where good men get taken for granted while the guys who don't really care get all the attention and passion, and eventually, those good men get fed up and stop trying. When that happens on a societal level, you get exactly what we're seeing now: a generation of people who can't form stable relationships. The examples she gives are absolutely mind-blowing. She talks about women calling their exes right before their weddings just to make sure they can't marry them instead. Can you imagine being that groom? You've invested years of your life, probably thousands of dollars, planned this entire future together, and she's literally calling another guy to see if he'll take her back. But it gets worse.
If a woman leaves you for another man, don't beg, don't argue, don't try to win her back. She made a decision. In that moment, she saw him as the better option. Maybe it was looks, confidence, money, or just timing. But whatever it was, she chose him over you.
She describes how these women will reject marriage proposals multiple times from guys who genuinely love them, not because they don't want to get married, but because they're waiting for someone else who's never coming back. Meanwhile, the guy who's actually there, actually committed, actually building a life with them, gets treated like a backup plan. The really devastating part is how this affects men psychologically. When you're giving everything you have to someone and they're constantly making you feel like you're not enough, like you're just a placeholder until something better comes along, it destroys your confidence and your willingness to invest in future relationships. And society pays the price for this. When men stop investing emotionally and financially in relationships and families, everything starts falling apart. We're seeing it everywhere. Declining marriage rates, fewer children, more people living alone and unhappy, The dating coach even shows examples of how some modern women treat their partners. There's this video of a woman trying to take over while her husband is literally rebuilding their house, not because she can do it better, but just to spite him and try to humble him. Then there are wives who publicly disrespect their husbands on television, getting celebrated for it instead of called out. What really gets me is the double standards. A woman can ask her man if he could survive without her, clearly fishing for him to say no and stroke her ego. But the second he turns it around and says he'd actually be fine, or even that it might be good for both of them, she gets disgusted and angry. She didn't actually want an honest answer. She wanted validation.
Some days you don't rise with the sun. You drag yourself out from under a sky that feels too heavy to hold. You stare into the mirror and barely recognize the face staring back. Eyes tired, soul quieter than usual.
These aren't isolated incidents either. The coach points out how common it is for women to create drama over the smallest things. A guy doesn't immediately notice a haircut or a new outfit, and suddenly he's inconsiderate and doesn't pay attention to her. But here's the kicker. She admits in the example that she got a new skin for her video game character, not even something real. The workplace dynamics are equally ridiculous. Apparently, men aren't supposed to take time off work or work from home because that's for the girlies and the gays. So now we're gatekeeping employment based on gender and sexual orientation? The hypocrisy is staggering. What's really sad is seeing how many men are in relationships where they're constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger their partner's next emotional outburst over something completely minor. They're rebuilding houses, working multiple jobs, doing everything they can to make their partners happy, and getting nothing but criticism and disrespect in return.
Remember, the first step to forgiveness is to realizing that the other person was born and eat it.
The dating coach's conclusion is pretty stark. She basically says that if you're a woman holding out for some fantasy guy from your past who's never coming back, you're wasting the time of someone who actually cares about you. And if you're a man in that situation, you need to recognize it and get out before you waste years of your life. This whole thing really makes you think about what's happening to relationships in our society. When even feminist dating coaches are throwing up their hands and saying it's nearly impossible to help modern women form healthy relationships, maybe it's time to admit we have a serious problem. The saddest part is that there are good people on both sides who genuinely want love and partnership, but the cultural messaging has gotten so toxic that nobody knows how to relate to each other anymore. Everyone's playing games, keeping score, and treating relationships like competitions instead of partnerships. Maybe it's time we all took a step back and asked ourselves what we actually want from relationships, and whether our expectations and behaviors are helping us get there or pushing us further away from real connection and happiness.